Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists, episode 481. My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we are here to talk movies and movie lists and movie obsession with you for the next hour or so. How's it going, Zach?
It's going great, James. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. We're at Site A?
Yeah, Site A.
Site A.
Yes. For sure. The first time in who knows how long.
Yeah. Well, I know how long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I looked it up. And let me see if I can find it.
James and I are face to face right now.
In the same room.
In the same room. Just like the old days.
Right.
Kyle is MIA.
Yeah, we wanted to record live, so we told him no need to show up this week. You just stay out of it. Zach and I want to record live.
We offered to have him show up, but he decided not to fly down to Florida.
I know. What's wrong with that guy?
I know. Come on.
The last time you and I recorded a podcast live in the same room was over a year ago, Zach, which you knew.
I believe it.
The 16th of March.
Oh, wow.
Was when we released it. So it was probably the 15th of March.
My guess before the show was March 14th.
Yeah, that would be roughly when.
Yeah, that's funny.
Wasn't the 15th when the NBA shut down?
I'm bad at those kind of specifics.
I think it was.
Yeah.
I think the 15th was when the NBA shut down. I think we recorded like that night.
We had a big argument that night. Do you remember?
No, that was like the week before.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The week before, Zach and I had an argument about how serious the pandemic is. Right? Basically.
Yeah, for sure. I said, this is going to be a thing. And you're like, no. Dr. Drew said it's not going to be a thing.
Right. And I put way too much faith into Dr. Drew, obviously.
Yeah. Did he ever eat his words on that, or did he just roll into?
No, I mean,
okay.
I lost a lot of respect for Dr. Drew over the course of the pandemic because it wasn't only that; it was like over the course he said a bunch of things.
I gotcha. I have a standing rule where I just don't put any stock in anyone that goes by Dr. first name and is famous. So Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, Dr. Drew, none of them.
Interesting. There's no. What about Doctor Who? You don't like?
I don't go to him for medical advice.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah,
I would agree. Yeah. So I don't know if this feels any different than recording separate. Took longer to set up. That's for sure.
Yeah, and we've done this for years, so
yeah,
I'm not worried about it.
That's true.
Yeah, Site A.
I'm
this is a new Site A.
The new Site A?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's changed over the years.
Sure. It was in this house, though, the last time we recorded in a different spot.
Yeah.
It's not interesting to the listeners at all.
No.
Yeah, Kyle is not here. We knew he wasn't going to be here. He's off gallivanting with his family.
Yeah.
And so, but if all works out, he will be here next week.
He's coming next week.
And we're not saying on the podcast, though he will be on the podcast. We're saying all three of us will be recording live.
Yeah.
On the podcast next week. So
he's moving to Florida.
He's just for the podcast.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah. His wife's so mad.
I wish I could have been there when that conversation was had.
I'm quitting my job. No, he's not doing any of that. He's just visiting, but we're excited to have him. Next week, we still are in talks about what we're going to do, but we're thinking we're just going to play movie games and just sit back and have fun.
It's going to be a big goof around.
Yeah. James actually has a secret movie game that he wants to unveil next week.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
It's a movie game that I think we could play it remotely, but it would not be the same as playing it live. And so I don't know what that means, if that's a big hint or not, but it's a hint.
I think that people want to see you and Kyle wrestle live on YouTube.
They might want to see that, but they're going to have to keep wanting because
what Patreon level?
That ain't happening.
What Patreon level would you wrestle Kyle on film?
I mean, I'm tempted to say there's no level that would get me there, but that's not true. There's probably a level somewhere that doesn't exist currently that could get me to wrestle Kyle on YouTube. So if anybody really wants to see that, make a proposal. As long as you put 10% down, we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right.
The challenge is out there. Let's do some housekeeping, Zach. There is a video version of this podcast. If you hadn't heard, there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. You go to YouTube, type Cinereelists, R-E-E-L with an S on the end. You'll find our YouTube channel. It's essentially what you're listening to right now, just with something to look at while you're listening to us. So if that sounds like it'd be up your alley, you should go check it out at youtube.com. Also, we have a Patreon account at patreon.com/Cinereelists, R-E-E-L with an S on the end. At that Patreon account is special after show episodes for our patron supporters. And there's a ton of them at this point, over 100 after show episodes. So if you find yourself,
that's crazy.
If you find yourself as one of these people who's like at the end of the podcast, you're just like, man, I could use more of that, but with less structure. Then Patreon after shows, that's your game for sure. You should definitely become a patron, and there will be 100+ episodes sitting there waiting for you.
And almost all of them are like relatively timeless. Who knows what we're talking about?
Yeah, they're rarely on topic about what's going on in the world. They're fun, but different. So go check out the Patreon. Also, we're still running the Apple Podcast Reviews initiative. We need Apple Podcast Reviews. We need to reach that magic number of 200. We're slowly inching towards it, but we can always use more. So if you have not left us an Apple Podcast review, please do so. Also, last item, you can send us an email. heyguys at cinereelists.com, R-E-E-L with an S on the end. And send us a comment, a question, a list suggestion, any of those types of things, just like Logan did this week.
Oh,
we're going to read his email.
Yes.
Discuss it on the podcast. Here we go.
Friend of the show,
Logan. Logan writes, "Hey guys, wanted to send a suggestion your way. Bo Burnham just released a new special on Netflix titled Inside, all capital letters. Wonder if that's the styling or if he just wrote it that way. It's brand new, so maybe on your radar already, but if not, you guys should definitely check it out. Before I talk about it too much, here's a big disclaimer. I'm a huge fan of Bo Burnham. He's my all-time favorite comedian. I've seen him live multiple times. I've loved everything that he has put out or been involved with, so take my recommendation/review with a grain of salt. That being said, I don't want to hype or oversell the special, so I'll just make a few comments.
Okay.
Bo Burnham's the best thing ever. It's his favorite comedian. And don't listen to him.
And I'm writing in specifically for you to watch this.
Right.
So what do you think about it, Logan?
But don't get hyped about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to oversell it, but best comedian ever. That being said, I don't want to. Oh, wait. This is not traditional stand-up in any sense of the word. And it's not even exactly traditional Bo. If you're familiar with his comedy style, this is more comedian examines life in quarantine in the style of Charlie Kaufman.
What is Charlie Kaufman without anyone around? What is he like? What is Charlie Kaufman like in his room alone?
I don't know, but I've seen like stage, filmed stage performances of Bo Burnham. And he already seems like a guy who wrote all that in his room and then just performed it in front of people. Have you seen those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I like them too. I'm not sure I would say he's my favorite comedian of all time, but I respect his creativity. Like that dude is very creative, I would say, or was. I would say his like more professional non-YouTube output. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying it's not hyperactive like that YouTube stuff.
It's pretty hyperactive.
You think 8th grade is hyperactive?
Oh, I mean his live performances. 8th grade's not hyperactive.
Yeah. I'm talking more about like his, I guess I'm just talking about 8th grade.
Okay.
8th grade and Promising Young Woman. Maybe those are the only two things outside of his stand-up I've seen.
Okay.
Have you seen other things other than like guest talk show
I've seen
stuff?
his specials.
Yeah. And that's the YouTube stuff, right? Like,
well, it's not YouTube anymore.
It's not YouTube, but that's
the YouTube stuff.
It's the same stuff he did on YouTube brought to a stage.
Yeah, I'll just go with you on that. Okay. That's not at all how I'd characterize it, but I get what you're saying.
Gotcha.
Are you a Burnham head? No.
But I enjoy him.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say I follow every word or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to him directing another movie. I want to see if 8th Grade was like a fluke or if he's really got something that other people don't have.
What do you suspect?
I think he has a perspective that other people don't have.
Yeah.
Whether he can translate that as effectively as he did with 8th Grade, that's more up for grabs than I think anything. I think 8th Grade I think his stand-up style, his stage performance style could potentially turn some people off.
Okay.
Doesn't bother me, but I can imagine some people being like, I don't know, this is very manic and crazy and out of control. Even though it's not out of control, it's very well planned. Whereas I think 8th Grade, anybody can enjoy that movie. I think it's very skillfully made, and it's made for a wide audience to not be actively annoyed by it.
Sure.
Whereas unfiltered Bo Burnham, I can imagine some people being actively annoyed by him.
He's pretty extra.
Yeah. And I think he knows that.
Yeah.
And he's playing to it for the audience that likes that style.
Yeah.
Whereas with 8th Grade, I think he knew who the audience was. The A24 audience. That's who he was trying to hit, and that's what he hit.
What I appreciate about him is he's pretty zany and silly, but he's an introspective dude.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like got this self-awareness thing going on. So everything he does has this meta level where he's also self-critiquing at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's why his stage performance, even though I can sense a tiny bit of it annoying me, every time he gets super extra, in your words, he reels it back and gives you a little wink to the people who think, okay, this is getting annoying.
Yeah.
He'll wink to you and be like, I know what I'm doing here.
I heard a roundtable. There's some old TV show or something that has been YouTubeized, serialized. And it's like they just get 8 comedians in a circle and they talk about comedy. And every episode, it's a different 8 comedians, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there's enough famous comedians where you can make 20 episodes of this.
Sure.
Anyway, Bo Burnham was in one episode. Everyone else is like 50, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he honestly commanded the whole thing. Like everyone was so interested in what he had to say in that conversation. I found the whole thing interesting. They all ate him up.
Was it because he had interesting insights, or because he was the only one who had insights on younger people?
I think the first.
Okay.
Yeah. They were all like, oh, well, this guy is not just a song and dance man, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Logan continues, in my bow-burning loving opinion, it's a masterpiece. Doesn't want to hype it up, but it's a masterpiece.
Any capitalized letters in that?
Nope.
Okay.
I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Logan.
All right. Well, Logan, we have a standing rule. If we have a listener suggestion, one of us will watch it and talk about it on the show. So I will take a peek at Bo Burnham's latest.
Inside. All capitals.
Yeah.
Yep. You got it. Thank you for the email, Logan. Once again, heyguys@cinereelists.com. Send us whatever you want to send us via email. We're going to talk 2 movies this week. One is on Netflix. One is on video on demand and in movie theaters. And we're going to start with the movie theater / video on demand. This is a drama titled The Killing of Two Lovers. We're going to talk about it right after this clip.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah?
What do you call a pile of kittens?
What?
A meowton.
Come on, Dad. Meowton. That is terrible. What new joke?
New jokes? You guys tell me a joke.
The dog's always in a push-up position. Mitch Hedberg, search him up.
Mitch Hedberg, who's that?
Comedian that's actually good.
Oh, the bus is here. Bye, Dad.
Bye, boys.
That was The Killing of Two Lovers, a 2020 American drama written, directed, produced, and edited by Robert McCoyan, I think is how you say his name. It's either McCoyan or Machoian. CH. Starring Clayne Crawfield, Sepida Moafi. I did not think this would be a movie with hard names to pronounce in it. Chris Coy.
Ejiofor.
For sure. Chris Coy. It's not that one. Oh, okay. That's music that keeps playing. Here, I'll go there, and you can hit it if I screw up. This one right here. Chris Coy, Avery Pizzuto, Ari Graham, and Ezra Graham. The official IMDb plot synopsis for The Killing of Two Lovers is: David desperately tries to keep his family of 6 together during a separation from his wife. They both agree to see other people, but David struggles to grapple with his wife's new relationship. Yeah. That's what it's about.
Straight up.
What did you think of The Killing of Two Lovers, Zach?
Well, I'd never heard of this movie. I knew nothing about this movie whatsoever. I like the title. The title was good.
Was it the title or was it the runtime? Because I think that's really the only thing I gave you was like high Rotten Tomatoes, an hour and a half.
I was happy about an hour and a half runtime.
Okay.
I was pleased. The movie starts, and I already had a good sense that I was going to like this movie with the title card. The opening title card is like filmed on film with like very obvious grain.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, this is definitely a choice here. But
well, yeah, and then you realize it's 4:3.
Yeah. Which I've heard you hate, from Justice League.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, no. With Justice League,
if that's how you intended to shoot it because it was a creative decision, I'm fine with it.
As in with Justice League, right?
No, that was after the fact.
No, he said it was intended that way. So, okay. So yeah, I really like this movie. I thought it was great. I'm not scared of slow cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, very independent. It's not in a rush to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have long takes. It's going to have long scenes where nothing seemingly vital is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it is setting a tone, creating a mood, giving you a sense of these characters. It's a slow burn for an amazing payoff.
Mm-hmm.
Super fan of this movie. We'll talk about it, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I generally.
Oh, and the sound design and the music. Ooh.
Yep.
So the sound design is great.
Yeah, and the music, which is barely there, is super effective when they do bring it in and out.
Yeah.
It's almost sometimes hard to distinguish the sound design from the music, which I thought was a super interesting touch. I like this quite a bit too. It's dangerous to, like, if you look at the plot on paper, even if it was a spoiler filled plot, you could easily say not much happens in this movie. Like, it looks very slight, I would say. And even when it was unraveling, I kind of got the feeling that, like, this isn't really going anywhere. It's not going to. And it does go somewhere. It doesn't go where I think it's going to go. I don't know if you had the same experience, but I think what the movie did the best was give you a scene right off the bat where nothing happens, where there was the potential for everything to happen in. And then you're just kind of like, from there, it kind of took me a while to not realize they weren't jumping around in time.
Yeah.
Did you have that experience?
Oh, for sure. It's almost ambiguous if they're jumping around in time or not.
Until you hit a certain point,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, they're not jumping around in time anymore. They never were, really. Would you agree? Did they make that distinction?
So I did get the sense they stopped the toying with the idea, but they possibly were jumping around in time. I kind of felt like in that first scene, he leaves, and then he just kind of goes to a store and says hi to his dad or something, and it's very casual. And you did get the sense that, like, on that drive, we're now at a different time. Maybe we've jumped forward in time, but I don't know. It was relatively ambiguous.
Maybe they did jump around in time, because there's a later scene where they're outside of the house at night. 2 characters are sitting in a truck.
Yep.
That's the first time he sees somebody else.
Not necessarily.
it's certainly the first time he acted like he's ever seen that person.
I think he just
first time she thinks he's seen this person.
No, I think he just, I got you because of the job thing. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So this is one very interesting way it's presented is it's not exactly 100% clear, as obvious from this conversation, if it's jumping around in time or not, but it's still very understandable and it doesn't really matter either way. Like
it doesn't.
It's just, it doesn't matter if it's jumping forward in time. I don't need to see a timeline chart. You know what's happening, and that's what matters.
Right. But the fact that they don't necessarily have to define that and also manage to give you a scene at the beginning that was super tense.
Which may or may not even happened. That might not have happened.
Oh, that's a whole nother.
It's possible.
I don't think there's anything in the movie that says anybody's delusional or imagining.
Not delusional, but absolutely he's fantasizing about that for the whole movie. He's sitting around. All the sound design, all the noises he's hearing. That's all in his mental fantasy land.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. It didn't. I mean, that's a pretty.
I don't think the movie sets up anything
situation
that would point towards the fact that they're visualizing fantasies.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes,
and it's a yes or no question. Feel free to answer however your heart desires. Okay,
great.
Do you feel like he was often playing that scenario in his head?
Potentially.
Okay.
He's definitely in his head for a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's really thinking, but it could have been that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it starts with that scene and then kind of works backwards to justify that scene on some level, which if it is chronological is interesting, that you're justifying a scene that doesn't end up the way you think it would have in a typical movie like this. Also, the title is interesting. I'm not sure we can really say a whole lot about it without spoiling.
I think it's a great title.
One direction or another. It's just a great title.
I'm super happy
that
about
means
it.
multiple things, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that was super interesting. And it's a movie that kind of lulls you into believing that these characters are real. They're not perfect. They have their issues, but they're all good intentioned individuals until it doesn't have to do that anymore because it's already set up all those things like expertly.
Yeah.
And the movie gets really interesting from that point. And it's super efficient. Like it's slow. It's definitely slow. Maybe not slow, low key, casual. It's a casual movie.
Yeah.
About presented in kind of an intense way. Casual movie full of normal intensity. And then when it doesn't have to be that, it's really jarring. And even though there are shades of gray between bad guys and good guys throughout the movie, somehow they make you root for this guy at the end of it. And I don't think they've necessarily set him up to be a good guy, but yet you still care for him.
I don't know
on
why
some level.
Do they say anything bad about him?
No, that's what I'm saying. He's kind of neutral. They haven't done a whole lot of work to make you love him. But
I think they've established he's a good father, right? And he cares. He's invested.
He's a normal father.
Okay, sure. Well,
a normal good father, not a superb the best father.
He's not super dad, but he's a good father, right?
Who's making the best of a separation.
Yeah. For me, really, there's the two central performances, right? Mm-hmm. The husband and wife, and a third performance as well. Those three performances are so realistic and authentic. It's incredible, especially the wife.
Yeah.
And it just, I was watching this thinking like, it's always impressive to me that there's non-famous people that are so good at acting. Like, why are you not famous? You're so good at portraying a real person. You know?
Yeah.
Like there's this one scene that
agents. Zach, that's the difference. Name recognition agents.
That plays out, it's like one shot and it plays out so long that you're like, they have to be so good actors to pull this off. Like you can't make this movie unless you hire people that you absolutely trust can just become these people.
Mhm.
And it did. And it was great to watch.
Yeah. I loved all the long takes and I really like the ending. I mean, we're not going to spoil it here.
Ending's great. The fire and then the aliens popping up from the barn.
All the explosions, the 3D effects.
Yeah. They put the whole budget in that explosion at the end.
For sure. It was spectacular. I would say if I had one word to use, spectacular. Yeah.
If I had any criticisms, there's some messy ADR I felt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some talking that like just didn't match the mouths as much as I'd wanted to.
I didn't even notice it. I don't know.
I'm pretty sensitive to ADR sometimes.
Okay.
Just you should know this about me, James.
You'd think I'd know by now, but I'd never heard that before.
It's like my number 2 thing about me.
Sure.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I did too. I kind of wish we had decided to do a spoiler on this one.
You can decide anything you want on the fly.
No,
James.
it's fine. We'll talk about it off podcast, but it's good. I think people should see this. I think people who like dramas, they like this is like an A24 movie that's not A24. I'm in a Facebook group that's literally called A24 movies that aren't A24, where people just talk about movies that like occasionally it'll surface something I've never heard of because it's just something that has that vibe but isn't necessarily.
Give me an example besides this.
Give you an example of an A24 movie that's not A24.
Yes.
That's a good question.
You've been in this group for how long?
Ingrid Goes West.
Okay. That's not A24?
No.
Oh.
But it feels like one that could easily be in their filmography.
I'm sure they've been at it.
Yeah. Or like Palm Springs. I could see Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Maybe Palm Springs is a little wacky for them. But I don't know. They made that pizza serial killer movie.
How did they make that pizza movie with what were they like?
With
ghosts?
the rapper.
Yeah.
It was a rapper who led it. Who was the rapper? It's the guy from Chicago. You know who I'm talking about. Chance the Rapper, right? Wasn't he the star of that?
Was Chance the Rapper in that pizza serial killer movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh man.
I might be wrong.
I like Chance the Rapper.
Me too. That's why I was disappointed by that movie. One of the reasons, I would say.
Oh, that's not why I was disappointed with that movie.
Really?
Yeah,
you just didn't like it.
Bad
every
movie.
piece of it.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
That's one where I'm trying to collect every A24 movie on Blu-ray. That's one that like it's like $20 on eBay, and I'm never gonna find it cheap. And I really don't want to spend $20 on that movie.
Think about it like this: it will only get more expensive.
You think?
It's gonna go down in value
Over time, I think it will probably.
Like what? The people that loved it sour on it? And, I mean, like
no, just as more people just don't have Blu-rays anymore, it'll go down.
I gotcha.
I think 20 is probably close to the height.
But who bought that? It's the people that will always have Blu-rays.
Probably. I'm not saying it's.
I think you should.
I'm not saying it's a good investment or a bad investment.
No,
what I'm saying is,
50. So
I don't want to
really invested.
I don't want to tie up $20 for something that I don't care about, except for one variable that it would complete the collection.
Empty case. Print
No
out
disc.
a cover. No discs. Put your favorite movie in there.
No, come on.
Why
That's
not?
cheating. I can't say I have them all and they're like lie. You're asking me to lie, Zach. I'm not
No.
going to lie.
Unspool a VHS copy and stuff it into the case.
A VHS copy.
Yeah.
That's probably more expensive than
That'd be
the
awesome.
Blu-ray.
Do people? Is there a distributor that still puts out VHSs of like
Yeah.
movies?
Yeah, but they're all really awful horror movies
Oh, okay, sure.
because those are the only people that are interested in VHS at this point. This is way off topic. Let's get back to the killing of two lovers. Unless we've said everything.
Did you see the killing of the sacred deer?
I did.
Which did you like better? Of the
Have you seen the
killing
killing of
universe?
Sacred
Yeah, I
Deer?
have.
Okay. I think I like Two Lovers more.
Okay.
I do like Sacred Deer. It's just a very dark movie,
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
but it's got Barry what's his name in it. He's pretty
The
good.
young guy.
Yeah,
That young guy's good. Is he in the Eternals?
he's in the Eternals.
Yeah.
Barry Sonnenfeld.
Levinson Gould.
Levinson. That's not right. But it's like Barry Sonnenfeld. Something
I
like
don't
that.
know. The other thing I'm going to say about this movie, the last thing I'm going to say about this movie is is the fact that it's light on plot does not matter because movies like this give voice to like all the feelings that people who have gone through situations like this can't express for themselves and work out on screen with those characters. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I haven't gone through anything like this, but I felt like it was real emotion, it's someone like that had been tangentially close to a situation like this. I feel like this would be a cathartic / terrible experience for them watching, depending on how things go for them. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a spoiler, but it's at its core, it's about a relationship that is headed
falling apart. Yeah.
It's falling apart, and one person is invested, even though he's agreeing to things that don't sound like you're invested. He's trying to play it cool. And at some point in the movie, he realizes playing it cool is not getting the end result of what he wants, which is for them to get back together. And so it's a very, in my experience, which I don't have a lot, but I had a decent sized breakup. In my experience, that's totally common. People are different. They have different goals, different paths, different assumptions about the other person in a relationship. And when you come to realize that those assumptions aren't true, it's hard to deal with. And I think this movie, more than any that I can really remember in recent time, just does a great job of expressing that on screen in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Because I think you could accomplish similar things in uninteresting ways.
Yeah.
This movie keeps it interesting.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say about this movie is it gets better and better.
The other thing was the last thing.
Yeah, I don't know why you thought that. It gets better and better. So if you're not liking it at first, you'll like it more later.
Yeah.
And if you're still not liking it, you'll like it more later. Keep watching.
And before you know it, an hour and a half will have passed and it'll be over.
And you won't regret it. Yeah.
That's a good assessment, and I endorse it.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, let's letterbox The Killing of Two Lovers. I'll give it a 4.
I'll give it a 4.
Okay. 2 4s. Not sure what would have made it better. Like for its type of movie, I'm not sure it gets much better than this.
If it had a personal connection to me, it would be higher.
Oh, if you could have seen an experience of yours in there.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So I watched a real human experience and play out really well.
Sure.
And I totally appreciated that. But to be a 4.5 or a 5, it has to just hit me in the gut, you know?
Gotcha. Yep. It has to have something more than just great movie. It has to be great movie. And I'm obsessed with it because.
Yes.
Type of thing.
How do you be a 5-star movie and it just, you don't connect to it necessarily, even though it's great. It's great.
Sure. I have 5-star movies that I don't necessarily connect
like what?
to. The Lighthouse.
Oh, that parallels your life a lot. There's a lot. I won't go into it on podcast, but yes.
No.
Yes. It's how can you be both characters at the same time? That is what's crazy.
No. Are you saying I have multiple personalities?
I'm not saying it.
You're letting my other personality say
you're definitely 4-3. Let's just say that you're not widescreen, James.
Fair enough.
Definitely not Academy ratio.
Let's move on to the next movie. This is a Netflix movie that you might not find in your dashboard unless you dig a little because it's in French language.
That's
true. I don't know. Did they put it on American dashboards?
I believe I saw it on my dashboard.
Okay. All right.
And I'm an American.
But do you watch like things that aren't in English?
Yes.
That's probably why it felt comfortable surfacing.
It figured me out.
Yeah, it definitely did. This movie, again, on Netflix, is titled Oxygen. We're going to talk about it right after this clip.
Je suis Milo, votre médicale interface de liaison opérateur.
Je suis forcément malade.
Aucune maladie ou anormalité détectée.
Je suis pas malade. Milo, déverrouillage.
Je ne suis pas en mesure d'accéder à cette requête pour le moment.
Milo, s'il te plaît, je t'en supplie.
Je ne suis pas en mesure d'accéder à cette...
That was Oxygen, a 2021 French language science fiction thriller. This movie is directed by Alexandra Aja. It stars Melanie Laurent, Matej Amal.
Could you thicken the accent a little bit when you say these names?
Elijah Four.
I feel like you just need a robust
Melanie,
French.
Melanie Laurent. That's her name. Right?
Laurent. You know, you got to really dig in, James.
I'm not trying to
enjoy this.
I'm not
part.
trying to offend our French listeners.
No, that it's offending them not doing that.
Oh, really?
It is.
Well,
Unless
I hear about that in the email,
you wouldn't be able to read it.
Malik Zidi, and that's about it. There's not a whole lot of people in this movie. In fact, there's only one person on camera. That's not true.
No, there's flashbacks.
The vast majority of it is one person.
Yes. It's mostly one person with a bunch of flashbacks.
Right. And the
and newsreel
official
clips.
IMDb plot synopsis for Oxygen.
Make sure it's not spoilery. Pre-read a little bit.
Depends on what you consider a spoiler.
I consider several things spoilery. We're going to do a spoiler section for this movie, but at the end. So we'll just kind of roll into it. You'll know.
Right.
But just here's the summary of the. I'll read.
You do it. We won't do the IMDb because
Yes.
I think potentially the IMDb one you would consider a spoiler.
Yeah. So we won't do that. A woman wakes up. She's in a cryogenic tank.
Oh, that's the part that IMDb
Well, that's not a
covers.
spoiler. That happens in the first minute.
I don't know.
Okay, then you could read the thing. That's not a spoiler.
A woman wakes in a cryogenic chamber with no recollection of how she got there.
Yeah, no
Is that
memory.
spoiler?
Yeah, she doesn't know what's going on.
As she's
Dying of
okay, so that's not a spoiler.
Yeah, it's called Oxygen.
As she's running out of oxygen,
Yeah.
she must rebuild her memory to find a way out of her nightmare.
Yeah, so she's stuck in a cryogenic tank. No idea who she is, why she's there, and there's some sort of malfunction. And it's running out of oxygen.
Mhm.
So she's got like a limited time before she's gonna run out of oxygen.
Right. And she doesn't know where she is, how she got there.
Yeah.
She does seem to know about these types of medical chambers.
Yes.
Pods or something
She's
like that.
not like, what is metal? You know, she's like, oh, this is a cryogenic tank.
Right.
And she had a familiarity with the thing. And the second thing you should note is that the cryogenic pod
Mhm.
has a intelligent AI computer that you can interface with. You can talk to it named Milo, I think. And so you'd be like,
Right.
Milo, do this. Milo, do that. I can't do that. I can do that one. Okay. You know,
Right.
he takes orders very well. You just have to know the right thing to ask.
Yeah. So it's kind of a buried alive movie, but like a high tech spin on that.
For sure. A French high-tech Buried Alive.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
With like, it takes a little bit less chances visually than Buried Alive did. Buried Alive really played around with the visuals.
Buried. Are we talking about a movie actually called Buried Alive?
Or Buried, the Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah. Just Buried.
Yeah.
Um,
And then Alive,
I'm just
where
saying like that
the Chilean
I'm
plane
saying,
accident.
I'm talking about the style of movie where somebody's buried,
Yes.
which there have been multiple versions of that over time.
Yeah.
But for specifically comparing it to Buried, you think that one took more chances in the presentation than this? I think they're different chances.
Different chances. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
For sure.
You want to go first?
I don't.
Okay. Well, it's been a month since I've seen this, so you might have to correct
Okay,
some
then
of my,
I
some
can
of my
yeah, I
memory.
can-
But if we're just talking broad thoughts, no spoilers yet. I enjoy this movie. I think it's an easy watch. It's an uneasy movie because it's somebody who's buried alive.
Yeah.
Trying to puzzle her way out of the situation. And it's a single concept, high concept movie where it's just like, here's the concept, and now you get to see how decisions play out, essentially. And it's also somebody who's increasingly understanding the seriousness of their position, and just as the moments tick by, there's less and less of a chance of her getting out of this alive. I don't think that's spoiler, because she's going to run out of oxygen. So I enjoyed all of that. I also enjoyed Melanie Laurent's commitment to the role. Like, she lays it out and goes from calm, cool, and collected to just like practically feral to figure out how to get out of this situation. And I believed that progression. I'm not sure the filmmaking surrounding the performance was like anything super amazing or
options are limited.
Yeah. Or even like capitalized fully on the performance that she was giving. I just know that person in that pod filming this movie, I could tell or felt that she was giving 100% to what is a sci-fi thriller.
Yeah.
Not
totally.
everybody gives that kind of commitment to something like that.
Yes. She gave it all its proper due for sure. She
then
laid
some.
it. Yeah,
probably more.
She was
than
fantastic.
What it deserved.
She did awesome. It needed that. I mean, the movie would be unwatchable with a bad
performance
yeah.
in the center of it, for sure. Because she's the
She would not
primary
care.
focus, the vast majority of the movie.
Yes.
You mentioned that there's flashbacks in the movie. That's probably my biggest complaint, is that even though most of them are just foggy memories of things that are coming back to her,
Yeah.
I kind of felt like we never had to leave the pod as far as the frame that we're seeing at home on TV. So it's not that I didn't like the flashbacks. It's just kind of took me out of the feeling of being in the pod whenever they did that. I feel like they could have come up with a more creative way to visualize that, or I don't know.
I almost could do away with flashbacks
Completely.
from films.
Oh,
I'm
in
just not a
general?
big fan of flashbacks, especially if they're in slow motion or like differently color timed or something like that. No, thank you.
Yeah, and this one's very like, when it goes to flashbacks, there's a lot of like
Soft,
etherealism and malicness.
I don't need that.
Stuff like that.
No.
I'm not
There's
not as anti.
There's exceptions for sure. Okay, don't at me.
What's an exception? I just need one exception.
I don't want to I don't want to go back and give you an example.
Oh, you're that against flashbacks. All right. There's many exceptions. This podcast is not one of them. Not allowed.
No,
all right.
yeah.
I get it.
Also, I can't think of any.
I can't think of any
Yeah.
either, but I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
Back to the Future. That is flashbacks in it, right?
Back to the Future.
The whole movie is flashbacks.
Those aren't flashbacks.
I mean,
There's not a
going Back to
single.
the Future.
No, there's no flashbacks in Back to the Future.
It already happened, and then you're seeing it again. That's a flashback.
It's not a flashback. No. No. Just because there's back in the title and they go back in time, that's not a flashback. A flashback is a memory.
Yeah, they're showing you a memory.
They're not showing you a memory. They're showing you a
trying
real
not to-
time
They're
experience.
trying not to change the memory, but it's still a memory.
No, the only memory they show you is a photograph. That's the only memory in the whole movie. And it's not a flashback. It's a photograph. Photograph, not flashback.
I'll agree with you that it's not a traditional flashback.
Hold
but
on.
It's still a flashback.
No, absolutely not. A flashback is a memory. Can we agree on that definition?
Sure.
Okay. So what memory do we see on screen? He has no memory of 1955. He wasn't alive
He's
then.
been told about it from his parents. So it's not his memory, but he has a memory of being told about it.
So is the world
That's how
that
he
exists-
knows what
No.
the sequence is, because he remembers what he
Yes,
was told about
But we
it.
are not seeing his memory of it. We are seeing the reality that he has a memory in his head that we never see. We don't get to a shot of him thinking what it probably looked like at the time. You can't have a flashback you never experienced. You can't have someone else's
You
flashback.
can have a flashback that you've never
In a
experienced.
sci-fi movie, if someone puts a memory orb in your brain,
I mean, you might have a flashback to them telling you about the experience. Right?
yeah, like a conversation they had about them telling. Yes, for sure.
Right. And then you remember the details of their flashback.
No, you can't have a flashback of someone else's story.
Yeah, whatever they told you about, that's what you have the flashback.
That's a gray area. I don't even think that would be considered a flashback if it's someone else's memory and they told if the conversation about the memory, that would be a flashback for sure.
This is some real Inception stuff we're talking about now.
Okay, so Oxygen. I liked the film a lot.
Oh, okay, good.
I really enjoyed it.
I thought it could go either way, to be honest.
Yeah,
when I suggested this one.
Sure.
I thought even if you didn't like it, it's interesting to talk about at minimum. So I'm glad you liked it.
I'm in for a high concept, stripped down sci-fi thriller. Yes. I don't want to see a bunch of like CG nonsense and like goofiness. It's just one idea played out.
Mhm.
And that's what I like. And the performance is awesome. I liked the computer character because it just kind of opened up a world of possibilities, right?
Mhm.
And what made me not hate this movie is that she followed a logical progression of trying to think this through, right? So
Mhm.
she wasn't like an idiot in a box, right?
Mhm.
Which some movies would just be like, you're wasting time. What are you doing? Like, do something useful for your situation. You know what I mean? She wasn't that. Every time she wasn't maybe being productive, I felt it was motivated by the fact that she just woke up in a high stress environment. She's hallucinating. Like, she has no
Right.
idea what's going on. All of this is totally understandable to me. I would be faring much worse. So I felt like she handled the situation in a way that was realistic and therefore compelling.
Mhm.
And the other thing I liked is as you're watching it, and you know, they give you some like iconography of like this rat in a maze. They kind of keep cutting to that, which is just, you know, is like a metaphor for something. Like you, and so as you're watching the movie, you're trying to guess. Okay, so what is the answer here? What's the mystery? I want to solve this mystery. And I really enjoyed it because it really could have gone a lot of different ways. Like there's a lot of different things that could have been the answer to this mystery. And I appreciated that because it was like they had to make a choice about what they wanted it to be. They could have chose something else. And so I didn't feel like there's this inevitability that I was going to crack and be like, well, now I'm going to check out.
Mhm.
It was, okay, let's see where they go with this.
Mhm.
And I liked where they went with it. I thought it was fine. And I was into the movie.
Oh, just fine.
No, I mean,
You think there's a better choice? I'm not asking for that choice, but
no. It was just such a specific choice, which we'll talk about in spoilers, which is great. The thing is that there could have been like 8 different, totally different plot explanations for what's happening.
Mhm.
And they picked one, which is awesome. And totally fine. Maybe the last shot I thought was lame or cheesy, but
Sure.
the last 8 seconds, you know, when the
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
The spaceship comes over the barn and then there's a big explosion.
It's pretty spectacular. If memory serves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I generally agree. I mean, I can't think of a more satisfying ending than what they gave us based on what they set up.
That's what I'm more talking about, the setup than the ending.
Right.
Like the setups could have been different.
Yeah.
Like the middle of the movie.
Like there's a moment that happens about 3/4 of the way through, right before you kind of sprint to the end, that I was not expecting at all. And I thought was
no, absolutely not.
really cool and kind of defines where they're going to go
Agreed.
in the last half an hour of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was hooked before then, just based on the performance and some of the oddities of existing inside the pod and kind of
Getting to learn the rules of the pod.
Yeah. Understanding that the AI is not always going to help you in the way that you want them to. Because I think most people would assume that you just tell the thing to open and it opens, and the thing does not respond to those kinds of commands.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder what the motivations behind the AI are. Like we've talked about Ex Machina a lot about, robots and what they're programmed for versus what they're doing type of thing. And so in this movie, it's an AI, it has some kind of programming, some kind of protocol. It's going to allow people in the pod to do certain things. And in other things, in cases where it endangers them, it's not going to allow those things. So you kind of wonder, like, is this how they always act when somebody's in a pod? Or is it making these decisions for another reason?
Yeah.
Whether it's I don't know what the word is. Somebody's put her there against her will, obviously, on some level. And whether it's been programmed to do their specific bidding or whether it's literally acting in her best interest. It's hard to suss.
You don't know if it's playing it straight or if it's got malicious intent.
Right. Exactly. Because sometimes playing it straight looks like malicious intent.
Yeah.
With the wrong perspective.
Because if you don't have all the information.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a movie that definitely drops you in on one person's experience, gives you about as much information as they have. In fact, she probably had more because she knows about pods. And then they just kind of build the amount of information you have until there's a relatively full explanation for everything.
Enough of an explanation. Yeah.
Right. And there's a potential that explanation will be not only moderately satisfying, but will be actively unsatisfying. I never got the feeling with this.
Agreed. James, I want to commend you. We've gotten through almost this entire conversation. You haven't done any major spoilers.
I know. If anything, you spoiled it all right at the beginning.
By saying she's running out of oxygen. Some people thought she'd have too much oxygen, and that was the plot of the movie.
Right. That's where the name comes in. Okay.
Also, this was in French.
Mhm.
I watched it in French. Did you?
Yeah.
And then
how else would I watch
the last 30 minutes, I switched it over to audio English.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
I wasn't able to fully 100% stare at the screen at that moment. And so I had to, otherwise I'd just miss too much.
Oh, okay. You had a family obligation or something like that. Okay.
But I was still I was still 90% tracking, staring at the screen. You had to look away every now and then.
Right.
And you can't miss something.
I'm curious. This is
It's fine.
completely off topic. So you have kids.
Yeah.
They're young.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
impressionable.
Yeah.
At least one of them could potentially repeat something she hears.
Yeah.
And so I imagine you're careful about what you watch when little ears are around. And so there's probably some things you could watch that there will never be a visual that's an issue, but maybe there will be a word or two that you don't want heard. Do you still watch those things if they're in another language around your kids?
No.
No?
Around the baby, fine. That's
Right, because they're
not a
not
problem
going
at
to
all.
repeat it anyway.
So I have she's 2 years and 10 months.
Right. So
and-
Melanie Laurent is using the F word in French. What does it matter?
No, because she's having extreme emotion at that time.
No, I get it. But if it was not that movie, if it was
If
a
she's-
comedy that occasionally had a bad word,
Well, that'd be fine.
that'd be fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's in French.
Yeah,
But if it
it's-
was in English, you would not
No,
watch
it's
that.
the extreme emotion that would be traumatic, I think,
No,
for my daughter.
I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying with a different movie where the visuals are not traumatic.
No, I'd want her to listen to foreign languages, right? Get that embedded in
Even
her
with
brain.
the curse words?
Oh, I don't know which ones are the curse words.
Why not let her listen to the English ones with the
Wait,
curse
you had the
words?
subtitles on? That's cheating. That is cheating, James.
No, that's not cheating.
No, it's meant to be presented
That's how
in French.
real movie buffs watch foreign films. They don't
No.
turn on the English.
No, the real buffs listen in the original language, and if the movie's good enough, they'll know what's happening.
No.
You don't
I have-
need to read.
A long time ago, I vaulted the 1-inch wall. Okay. The 1-inch wall has no effect on me. Fully into foreign films in their
No.
original language. I will never
If I turn subtitles
watch a
on,
movie that's
no.
dubbed.
Don't dub. I'm saying you should learn French and then watch these movies.
Oh, I shouldn't watch any until I learn French.
Yeah, that's motivate. What else is going to motivate you at this point, James? If you haven't done it already, do you speak any other languages?
Yeah. Pig Latin.
Let's hear it.
No,
You forgot Pig Latin.
I did not. Just not a monkey.
Did you
I'm
ever
not your
learn
performing monkey?
Did you ever learn Op Talk?
Op talk?
Op Talk?
I learned bubble talk.
What's Bumble Talk?
Bubble talk.
Bubbable Talk?
Yeah.
What is Bubbable Talk?
Mhm.
I'm not
Look it
ordering you to do anything, monkey. I'm asking you, what is Bubbable Talk?
It's just talk where you make bubble sounds with your mouth while you do it.
Is this like a game you and your sisters made up?
I don't remember if it was my sisters or my friends. I don't think it was my sisters.
Okay.
But I don't remember. That was a long time
That's
ago.
great.
That I really pulled that one from the attic.
That was
That's
good.
for sure.
That was a deep one.
How about you? You don't know any other languages?
I
know
s-
Spanish.
I speak Spanish.
A little bit of Spanish.
Un pococito.
Sure.
Un pococito is not a word. Poquito.
Okay.
That's awesome. James, what would you letterbox this movie?
Wait, you speak Spanish?
Spanish.
That's it?
Yeah, I
Then you
contend.
can't watch French movies either.
No. If the movie's good enough, you don't have to understand what they're saying. You still can understand the film. It's you read the film as a text, James.
Okay. So
If the mise en scène is on point,
if it's in a foreign language that you don't know, just so I understand this, you don't turn on the subtitles and you turn down the vocals so that it's either silence and you're watching a silent movie.
No, why would you turn on the vocals? It's meant to be presented in the original French or in
So
the audio
you just
dubbing.
listen to it, and if you don't know the language, you don't understand what they're saying.
I feel like they're all Romance languages. It's all kind of in there.
Okay.
I did go to a museum in Paris once, and I don't speak any French whatsoever.
Weird.
And everything was in
but-
French.
Okay.
And I felt like I could read it just from the English and Spanish that I knew. Like it was like very legibly understandable just because of the cognates and stuff.
I think there's some like shared words between
for
French and Spanish.
No, James, I absolutely watched with subtitles. Subtitles are fantastic.
Okay.
For sure. Sometimes I'll put on subtitles for English speaking films.
I almost exclusively watch everything with subtitles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, how has that just come out now?
I don't know. It's not something I've always done, but maybe in the last 4 or 5 years, I started doing it and realized that I prefer it for one reason or another. They're not always available with subtitles, but if I can, I get them.
Okay.
All right. Let's letterbox this, and then we'll just roll right into spoilers.
Ooh.
So not spoilers yet, but in a second. I would give this a 3.5.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 4 because I was very invested in what the mystery was.
Nice.
It's certain like a thriller should keep you invested, and I was. And then once you start getting answers, they were interestingly presented. And there's quite a few twists, so it was great.
Agreed. And we will get into those interesting answers in our spoiler discussion, which is generally going to start now. So this is the end of the podcast. We're going to talk spoilers, and then we're just going to do what we normally do right at the end of the podcast. So if you don't want to listen to spoilers, just hit pause right now, go see the movie, come back, hit play. You're good to go.
Yeah. The movie's only 20 minutes long. Go watch it.
Really short. Really short.
That's not true.
Yeah. So this is the spoiler section. If you don't want to know what happens in Oxygen, the details of what happens in Oxygen, you should not be listening to this. But if you have seen it or you don't care about knowing the details of Oxygen before you've seen it, then listen on. So, Oxygen, that ending, I thought it was interesting. It's definitely a choice. It's kind of a Planet of the Apes-y kind of ending. I mean, not in that it's a statue.
How
or
so?
that they're on a beach and they're wearing like standard issue sci-fi clone uniform,
they are,
which is like white jumpsuits. Yeah. Which I guess she's in a white jumpsuit in the movie proper too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That should have been a clue that she was a clone.
No,
all along.
the mice was the clue. Were they rats or mice?
I don't know, but you thought the rats were a clue that she was a clone?
Yes.
How so? Were the rats even there?
No, that was a hallucination.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. But they were in her research.
So it was a flashback.
Yeah, but not her flashback. Right? That's the whole thing about what I was talking
flashback.
about. No, that's the whole thing I was talking about. It's not her flashback. It
is her flashback.
No, it's the scientists who implanted her memories into this clone.
Right, but those memories are her memories.
No, they're the scientist memories. They're not her own memories. She has no memories of her own.
Those are memories that exist in her brain. She might not have made those memories, but they're her memories.
No, James, if I give you a plate and it's in your apartment, that plate exists in your apartment, but it's my plate.
No,
even
it's
though
my
you
plate.
have it's just sitting in your apartment.
If it's in my apartment.
No, but here's the thing. She is 12 years old. Those are not her memories. Those memories were implanted in her brain.
They're memories that have been given to her.
Yes.
They're hers.
No, they're not hers.
If you were to give me the plate, I didn't buy the plate. I don't know where the plate came from, but you gave me the plate. It's my plate.
Sure, if I gave it to you, right? Okay, but if
they gave her the memories.
No, they implanted the memories in her. They forced the memories upon her.
Whether they implanted them or not, they're hers now. She can't get rid of them.
No, they're only hers because she doesn't have memories of her own. Right? Can we agree
she could
on
have
this?
memories of her own that mix with the old ones.
But she doesn't, though.
But she's making them as we watch the movie.
Yeah, all new memories.
The only reason she doesn't have other memories is because she hasn't had the opportunity to make her own.
That's what I'm saying.
From the moment the movie starts, she's making her own.
Okay, but before the movie starts, can we agree that she doesn't have any memories of her own? Before the movie starts, she only has memories of the scientist, right?
She only has memories of the scientist?
The scientist memories.
Okay, she only has the scientist memories.
Yes.
Yeah, they were given to her.
Sure. But she only has the scientist memories.
Why would you give
point.
people memories from multiple people? That'd be so confusing.
I'm
Especially
just saying,
if it was your clone.
I'm just saying the things that she remembers
Right.
never happened to her.
Agreed. And also, they're her memories.
Well, all I'm saying is when we were talking about the flashback conversation, she is having flashbacks of things that never happened to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're still her memories.
Yes, they are her artificial memories that are illegitimate memories. They're not hers. They're only hers because they were given to her.
Right.
They're not hers organically or legitimately.
I think we're on the same page.
I like it.
Okay.
And I liked that the doctor who she has the memories from is actually way older than her. It's at the end of her career.
Yeah.
She was an old lady at that point.
You know why?
Why?
The doctor is her.
What?
The doctor is her.
No. She's the doctor.
The doctor on Earth
Yeah.
that she talks to
Yeah.
is her.
Yeah, no, obviously. But it's not, again, she is not the doctor. She's a clone. She's 12 years old. She's a husk.
Well, I mean, she has all the memories of the doctor. So she is a doctor, right?
No, she's not. She hasn't earned a degree.
But she had, okay. So if you don't.
No college has given
let's say
Omicron
in the future,
237.
Let's say in the future, they can download information into your brain. And at that point, you know it. Okay. If somebody downloaded all the information that a doctor needed, including all the life experience needed to be good at a skill, you wouldn't consider that person a doctor?
No, absolutely not. Let me ask you this, James.
They take all the tests?
They have to take the tests. That's what I'm saying. They have to take the tests.
Okay, fine. So she's not a doctor yet. She just has all the knowledge of a doctor.
Sure.
Fine. I'll give you that.
I'm not going to let them do surgery on me with their 3-week-old muscles. Right? They don't have the muscle. They don't have the abilities. What? You download all of Michael Jordan's memories into your body and all of a sudden you're in the NBA?
Yeah, that's what I imagine.
Okay.
way off the rails at this point.
This is what the movie asks you to accept. No, I liked that they went clone, but yeah, I do think the mice is a clone kind of idea because they were obviously those mice had been genetically messed with, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're all dying horribly on a plate. I don't know.
Why do you think that's the memory that she's conjuring up in this state?
Because I think the mice were the breakthrough, right? That was how they made the clones. They first did it in mice. So that's her. She spent 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Her job was working with mice or rats. I forget which.
Right.
I can't tell the difference between mice.
I can't tell the difference either.
They're probably mice.
Did I tell my mice story on this podcast?
No, I don't know your mice story.
I didn't tell you my mice story with my car.
No, you had mice in your car?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a story I need to be telling on the
podcast. You do.
Absolutely
you do.
Know. So I went up to Georgia for a month.
Is this a recent story?
Yeah, when I was up in Georgia a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe a month ago. I think I've been back for about a month. So I went to Georgia for 4 weeks or something like that. And I left my car in New Smyrna Beach. Drove my parents' Prius because it gets better gas mileage up to Georgia. This has absolutely nothing to do with oxygen. I'm just prefacing that right now.
If there's mice, I want to know it.
Okay. So left my car there and, my parents came back earlier and I gave them my car keys and they drove my car when they got back because I had one of their cars. No big deal. We've done this before. And then I get back and I get in my car and I'm driving home. I need to get something out of the glove compartment. I don't even remember what it was. Probably a pen or something like that.
Piece of cheese.
I open up my glove compartment and everything that was in my glove compartment is now balled up into a ball. Napkins.
Chewed up and then
headphone wires, masks, paper masks that I keep in there just in, pandemic. Just that I keep in there just in case I need a mask real quick. Or if somebody I'm traveling with didn't bring their mask. Anyway, it's all just kind of balled up in my glove compartment. And I'm so weird. I reach in there and I get my pen or whatever it is that I needed. I slam the thing shut. I'm driving home. It's like an hour and a half drive from New Smyrna Beach to my house. And I was just like, how did that happen? I don't understand.
And what was your brain coming up with? Like,
I honestly couldn't comprehend how those napkins got balled up in my glove compartment. It didn't make any sense to me. And then I got home, I unloaded the car, and I was unpacking, and I was like, I have to know why everything is balled up in my glove compartment. So I go downstairs. I'm in the parking lot of my condo, and I open up the door, the passenger side door, and I open up the glove compartment, and I pull it out, and it's literally like an animal got in my glove compartment and made a nest out of everything that was already in the glove compartment. And they chewed every wire that was in the glove compartment, including the backup camera wire.
oh,
That like I installed a secondary market backup camera and then ran it through the glove compartment and then under the car all the way out to the back. No more backup camera because they chewed through the AV wire. And so I have this ball of like paper and wires, and I put it on the passenger side floor and start opening it up. And there's 3 baby mice or rats, I don't know the difference, inside this ball, this nesting ball, alive.
wow.
And my neighbor, who's like 8 or 9 years old, happened to be standing right there when I opened up this nest that was in my glove compartment of live baby rats or mice, and immediately reaches in and picks them up, which I'm not a doctor.
You're responsible for this.
Is not sanitary, right?
No, this is how diseases are. This is how pandemics happen. Basically, yeah.
Exactly. But like, I didn't tell him he could do that. He just wanted to pick up the baby.
Yeah, you presented him with the
No,
the baby
I did
mice.
not present him. I was shocked that there were
you
baby
opened it up
mice in
his presence. You're like, here, little boy, look at this. You
No.
open it up.
I did not do that. I did not show it to him. He was standing right there and he was like, ooh, and he just grabbed them.
Were you actively trying to shield him from it?
No,
Okay.
I was in shock, to be
Yeah.
honest, because I was still in the process of comprehending what happened in my glove compartment. And now I chaperoned 3 baby mice away from their parents in New Smyrna Beach into Orlando. And possibly the parents were somewhere around as well.
It's possible the parents are still in the car.
Well, not at this point, but at that point,
Well, they could have been.
I could imagine it.
How do you know they're not still in the car?
Because after the fact, I noticed they damaged a bunch more stuff in my car, and that kind of damage hasn't been continuing.
This is the car you're about to sell, right?
I was.
That's
I
too
don't know.
bad.
I don't know if I'm going to sell it now. I think
Oh, man.
I might just give it to my nephew because I think it's at that point.
Okay.
But so this kid gets these baby mice, and I'm talking not even eyes open.
Oh, wow.
Baby mice, like very young baby mice, and he's naming them. And I was like, 1, you shouldn't be touching those, but I'm not your mom and dad. In fact, his dad's not even around. I'm not your mom,
Oh,
but you shouldn't be touching them. I'm telling you right now,
Yeah.
should not be touching them, but I'm not going to stop you from touching them because you're not my kid. 2, I want it noted that I told you not to touch them with your mom. I'm telling you, you should not be touching them.
You get on your camera, like, say this on film, kid.
And number 3, those mice are going to die. I just like I told
You
him
told
I
this
told
kid?
him flat out,
Oh.
do not get attached to those mice
They're
because
gonna die.
they are going to die.
So hold on. There's like an 11-year-old kid that is forming a bond with these animals.
Like he started naming them in seconds.
And your first thought is to explain to him existential morality.
No, I just don't want to be responsible for how
Kid,
destroyed
I need
he
you
is
to know
when these baby
that these
whatever they
kids-
are die.
that these are going to die.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What was I supposed to tell
Did you
him?
explain the birds and the bees to him as well? And
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I only wanted to do what I am ethically obligated to do, which is 1, tell him he shouldn't be touching them, and 2, let him know that if he gets attached to them, not my fault, because I warned him they're going to die.
That's amazing. Are the tears starting to well up in his eyes? And
no, he was like, yeah, of course. No, I'm not an idiot.
They're gonna die. I have a snake at home. It's fine.
I mean, I don't think he fully thought through that, but I made it known that like it was said that
amazing.
Like,
so
what you're not going to save
did he take
these.
them?
He took them, and then I made like another trip because I started cleaning out my car because a rat had a party in it, evidently. And so I didn't know.
That's pretty gross.
Yeah, it's gross. So I wanted to get the nest out of my glove compartment.
Well, the one nest you found.
I mean, they pretty much balled up and destroyed everything that was in my glove compartment. So
is that like title and insurance and all that?
No, they didn't get that far, but they chewed the corners of the books that had those in it.
Okay.
Like the travel books, or not travel books, but the warranty books, manuals.
Yeah.
That's the word. So I started doing like a cursory cleanup of that, made a couple trips. Before I know it, he's like on the grass with the baby mice, like rolling around in the grass, and like other neighborhood kids. So now I'm pretty sure I'm like the tall bearded guy who gave the neighborhood kids mice that were going to die.
Yeah.
But
you're the Pied Piper.
I told
of
those
this
kids they were
neighborhood.
going to die too.
And all your parents and all,
No, I didn't say that.
all your friends.
I just said,
Everyone look to your left,
I
look
kept
to your right.
saying as I walked
Everyone
by,
you see will die.
don't get attached because they're too young. Without their mother, they're not going to make it. And then at one point I suggested to him that he take them to like a bush somewhere and leave them in the bush, and don't take them inside your house.
Sure.
That's my mice/rat story.
Wow.
Has nothing to do with oxygen whatsoever.
It's amazing.
Added a solid 8 minutes to this podcast for no reason.
That's bumping up my star rating by 0.5 point for oxygen.
I don't remember what was left to talk about with oxygen.
I like that they were clones. They didn't have to be.
Right.
I like that they're in space. They didn't have to be.
Yeah. Oh, the moment where she's in the pod and she realizes that the part where Milo is actually a window.
Yeah. And then she can change it.
And they cut it off and you're like, she's in space. Like the reveal was cool.
Yeah.
It's not like they led you to believe that she might be in space. They just didn't lead you to believe anything.
Yeah.
Like space, buried alive in a hospital somewhere. Like they never
I think
fully
you assume she's in a lab or a hospital.
on Earth.
For most of the time. The only thing that like doesn't hold water is that she's having all of these phone calls and phone conversations with people that are far away because she's in space on a halfway through her journey.
Mhm.
And so there'd be like hours, days, delays between responses, right? I mean, her actual talking has to like travel back to them, and then they have to travel back to, like the sun is,
I understand what you're saying,
the
but
sun
I think
is
it's a nitpick.
8 minutes, light minutes away, right? So if she's only as far as the sun, it would take 8 minutes for them to respond to you.
Maybe they've perfected technology.
There's no perfecting.
What do you mean?
You
there's
can't.
no perfecting.
You can't beat that.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, it's like the one law is you can't go faster than the speed of light. It's not happening. There's no tweaking.
I don't know if that's true.
That's true.
I mean, it's currently true, but I don't know if it's always going to be true.
It's always going to be true. The only thing that can travel faster than the speed of light is the expansion of space.
Currently.
No,
That's true.
it's just a fact. Not
until,
even currently
until
true.
it's not a fact.
No, but it'll
somehow
no,
through technology we figure out how to.
Can't do it.
So you don't believe at some point we will have like teleportation that's instantaneous?
No, I don't.
You don't think that's possible?
We have teleportation now.
Do we?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Not of like you, but like we can teleport photons.
Sure.
Like 3 meters in a lab.
Okay.
But no, we will never do instantaneous teleportation. That's not possible.
There won't be Star Trek style teleportation.
No, that possibly, but it would take time. You couldn't go faster than the speed of light. It couldn't be instantaneous. there's a speed limit of the speed of light. You will no advancement in science will ever get you faster than that.
I don't know. I mean, you can say that, but I can also say that it's possible, and you can't say it's not possible.
I will say it's not possible.
You can say it's not currently possible, but
I never will be. It's not happening.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to say. I just know
Because if anything goes,
anytime I say never, it happens. So
that's true. You should stop saying never. Because
you're the one saying never right now.
As you approach the speed of light, time slows down. And at the point of the speed of light, time stops. So how do you go past time stopping? You can't do that. Plus your mass.
You can't currently do that.
No,
I agree.
no,
but
no,
if somebody could figure out a way.
You can't. No,
you
can't.
Also, at one point, couldn't currently light a fire, but somebody figured it out.
Yeah, but fire wasn't like mathematically impossible, even though no one knew how to do it.
It was before anybody did it.
No, they just didn't know how. There's a difference between not knowing how to do something and it being impossible to do. So, for instance, you don't know how to build the pyramids, but you imagine that it's possible, right?
Because it's been done.
Sure, but even if it hadn't been done, right?
If it hadn't been done, then
you could still imagine.
I'm sure there were some people that said it was impossible. And there were other people who said, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I think it's possible.
Right. Yes. So some people would say it's possible based on what we know. It's possible. We just don't know how to do it yet. Right.
Right.
But I'm saying specifically you don't know how to do it. Okay.
No, I would agree with that.
But there's other things that are just impossible. Like, it's not like we don't know how to do them yet, but it's possible.
But how do you know those things when in the past there have been other things that people said were impossible that ended up being possible?
Well, people say all sorts of things that are impossible. You can't believe
I
everyone
agree.
that said,
that's why I would not draw a line in the sand and say it's impossible in this scenario with speed and light and whatever.
Some things truly are impossible and some things aren't, and people just say that, right? So you have to figure out why is the distinction between the two of them. So one of them is impossible because they just can't imagine how it would be, and the other one's impossible because like the math of physics is wrong if it's possible.
Yeah, you don't think it's possible that there's math equations that are wrong?
Not those ones. Like it's like saying this: is it possible that one day we'll be able to go 95 miles an hour while also going 10 miles an hour? I would say no, that's impossible. No matter what technologies we come up with in the future, the math just doesn't work out.
What if I had a clone? They were going 10 and I was going 90.
We'll say
and I gave them all my memories, so they had their own set.
We'd have to get into clone science to really understand that. See, Oxygen, it just spurs all these conversations, James.
It really does. I think that was the intent of the movie, was this specific conversation.
So that was my only nitpick, is that they would not be able to communicate over such vast distances. I think she was like 12 light years in to her journey. But otherwise, I liked it. I was into it. I think I liked it more than you. I gave it 4 stars. Did I say that on the podcast?
You did.
Okay.
I gave it 3.5. I'm not sure what would have made it a better movie for me. Maybe just because I've seen this concept. I did like this twist on it, but I'm not sure it. I think in the end, I'll remember as much of this as I did Buried. I'll just remember that they're like, buried alive movies.
I don't remember anything about Buried except visually. I don't remember why he's buried or if he gets out.
He's an ex.
Spoilers for Buried.
Sure. Spoilers for Buried. He's a military contractor. It's Iraq.
So did the Iraqis bury him?
Somebody buried him in Iraq in a place where they weren't going to get to him in time.
And did he get out or did he die?
Don't remember that part of the movie.
Isn't that funny?
Pretty sure they leave you with he's going to die, but they don't actually show him dying.
Oh, okay.
But been a while since I've seen Buried.
Grim.
That's a movie I have on Blu-ray that I'm literally keeping because I want to rewatch it.
Sure.
That's the only reason. Literally don't even want it. I just want access to it.
Yeah.
For the one day I rewatch it.
Sure.
Cool. Anything else with Oxygen?
I liked both these movies. They're so different.
I like the styling of the name too. At the end, you realize like it's oxygen, like generation, like clone.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. They like stylize the title at the very end.
Nice.
To separate the two words.
Nice.
Yeah. I liked that.
I enjoyed that this computer, it was not malevolent. It just, you had to know the right questions to ask. Like it would only answer whatever you asked it to do. So if you said, am I in space? It would say, of course. But if you didn't, it would just say like location unable to precisely determine.
Right. Yeah. And do you think it actually couldn't determine that? Or do you think it was programmed to just not say something like that?
I think it actually just couldn't. I think it was playing it straight.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because she asked it like, okay, so how close am I to the other ones? And they're like, oh, you're 2 feet away from them. You know, like if it relative distance, it could know right away.
Yeah. Speaking of actors that you forget, like Melanie Laurent is not super famous, but she's really good. She should be in a lot more stuff than what we get.
She possibly is, and they're just French movies that we don't see.
Yeah, I'm talking about what we get here.
Agreed.
What travels
Yeah,
here.
she's awesome.
Yeah. Like she's one of the best parts of Inglourious Basterds.
The best part.
Yeah. And she definitely elevates this. I can't really think of much else that I've seen her in. Sure, I've seen one or two others. But those are movies that when I think about them, I think of her scenes more than the other things in the movie. Like her scene with
she was in Now You See Me.
Oh, okay. They can't all be winners.
Set her back.
The fact that that Now You Don't is not the name of the second movie just makes me hate that franchise even more.
It's the worst.
It's absolutely the no-brainer.
Yes. Now You See Me 2?
Even if you have to call it Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Yeah.
Now You Don't should be the name of that movie.
Yes.
It's 100% the stupid decision that they made by calling it Now You See Me
2. And it's the number
2.
Yeah.
It's not even TOO.
Yeah.
TOO would have been stupid as well, but at
it
least
would have been.
There would have been an attempt at cleverness.
Yeah.
For a movie about magicians who consider themselves clever.
Yeah.
It's maybe the worst title in the history of titles.
And if they called it Now You Don't, it absolutely still recalls Now You See Me, right?
100%.
So you're not losing name recognition.
And could you imagine like on your shelf, it's like, now you see me, now you don't. It's the perfect pairing.
Yeah. You should do a quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy?
Yeah.
Quadrilogy?
Yes.
Okay.
That too.
So 4 movies?
4 movies. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
What would it be? What would the basis be?
It would be about an assassin.
Oh, and in each movie, he's hunting down a different person?
Yes.
Ooh, I don't hate that. And each one has a code word, a target code word. One's named Eeny. One's named Meanie.
Meanie. Miney.
And Mo.
And
the person that this person's assassinating kind of fits the description.
Yes.
So Eeny is somebody who's obviously Eeny. The second person's a meanie.
He's a
real
meanie. Yeah.
Then there's Miney.
He's a minor, maybe? I don't know.
No, Hermione.
Oh, Hermione. He has to kill Hermione?
Got to kill Hermione. And then Mo.
From the Three Stooges?
From the Three Stooges.
Wow. So it's a time travel element as well.
The burrito place.
Moe's. And then after he kills Mo, he's like, welcome to Moe's.
Right. So stupid. Zach, we got to get out of here. Anything else with Oxygen? Are we done?
See, Oxygen inspires these conversations. That's the thing. That's the thing about this movie.
It's a real thinker.
Yes.
We've definitely run around the tree on this one.
I would not recommend watching it in English. It was a worse experience. Well, no, it wasn't. It was as well done as it could be. It was well done.
Sure.
At a certain point, I forgot that it had been originally in French.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yes, but the French part was better.
So you're pro being
I
serious,
never do
you're pro
this.
subtitle.
Absolutely. I
Original
never
language.
do the dubbing
Yeah.
for sure.
Me too. I
Maybe for animated films.
I think it's like a film snob thing, really, more than anything. I want to experience it in the original language, even if it means I have to read.
Yeah. Because again, I'm sensitive to ADR. So if it's dubbed, it's I mean, how many times do I have to say this?
It's a lot of ADR if it's dubbed.
Yeah, it's all
Pretty
ADR.
much all of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. After talking about it, any change to
4 stars?
4 stars.
Yes.
I'm going to stick with 3.5 as well. That's it. That's this episode. Thank you for listening to episode 481 of the Cinereelists podcast. We appreciate your listenership. Don't forget, you can always send us an email, heyguys@cinereelists.com, REEL with an S on the end. You can support us on Patreon, support the podcast, get extra after show audio. You can watch the podio. You can watch the podio. Watch the podio on YouTube.
We're trying to teach my daughter how to use the podio.
How's that going?
Poorly.
Okay. Really? I think you think she catches on to everything else.
Oh, she knows she knows about it. She just doesn't want to do it. What's that?
She's got to make it fun.
We offer M&Ms.
No, they have like little light shows that you can put in the inner rim thing. Make it a party. A potty party. Make it a potty party.
Yeah.
Where were we? Oh. Watch us on YouTube.
Yes. Please.
And
Side
also
A.
leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and follow us on social media at Cinereelists on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Or you can follow Zach on his personal Twitter or Letterboxd account at Shawben.
Yeah. And you can follow James on Twitter, Letterboxd at YoJRB.
Right. We will be back next week with Kyle live in the studio at Site A.
Should be fun. Kyle, this is what happens when you're not around. So come back.
For sure. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.